What's up, everybody? This is Harry Bernard Taylor here once again to give you a little rundown of the show that we was at this past weekend. Actually, it was just me. My partner, Christopher Burton, wasn't there. I was there doing commentary with Danny Paris. So I was at Uprise Pro Wrestling in Hendersonville, North Carolina this past Saturday, and I'm going to give you a rundown on the card. This show was called Here We Go. This right here was the next chapter of excuse me, y'all. This right here is the next chapter, the beginning of the next chapter of Uprise Pro Wrestling, and we kicked it off. Saturday night. First match, we had Marcus Mook versus AJ Frost. This right here was a pretty good match. I thought it was a pretty good match. I thought it was a decent matchup, and the match went on. You had both guys trading chops. Both guys trading shots at each other, and I think they went at it pretty good. Marcus Mook finally got the advantage on AJ Frost when he started using his feet, started using a lot of kicks, and I think that right there pretty much started taking over the match. But AJ Frost definitely had the advantage at first, man, delivering some nice forearm shots and using his feet and his fists. But definitely, man, this right here was a pretty good match when it boils down to it, but it was too short. So I went ahead and gave it 2 stars. Marcus Mook actually won the match. So Marcus Mook defeated AJ Frost in the first match. That was a 2-star match. Now, the next match, man, we had was Brino Royce versus Big Nasty. And Brino Royce, this right here, first thing that struck me about this match, I really didn't like the matchup. Big Nasty is very big guy. Brino Royce, he's not a small guy, but he's definitely, as far as these two, man, it was like Clash of the Titans. Brino Royce was going against, he was going against the Giant, man. He was going against the Giant when it basically it was like a David versus Goliath type deal. So I was interested in seeing how Brino would handle this. And as far as Brino, he's one of these young lions that brings a lot of he brings a style that a lot of wrestlers don't possess today. And Brino Royce, he likes to tie you up. So I was very interested if seeing he can tie up this big man, Big Nasty. Now, Big Nasty took off. Big Nasty used a lot of power moves at first and was throwing Brino Royce down. He picking him up, powerful body slams, throwing him across the ring in test of strengths. But Brino got smart, and Brino went for that knee, started going for the back of the leg. Brino got him down, so Brino started tying him up. Brino did try a couple things when Big Nasty got back up, and Brino got behind him and tried to take him down with a fireman's carry. Looked like couldn't do it, but excuse me. But Brino kept on the attack, going for the legs, going for the knees, and kept getting him down and wrapping him up, and then a couple times got him into a couple arm bars and a couple things with his elbows that I see that Brino probably picked up from a wrestler named Chris Thunder Anderson who booked this show. But Brino did do that move, and I did see that. So Brino actually, like I said, Brino was bringing in some things that he brought in some new along with the old. But he really was wrapping up the big man, Big Nasty. And like I said, Big Nasty got his shots, but it was an okay match, man. I gave it 2 stars, but it was like I said, it was a contrast of styles. And with me, that's the way I look at it. And I will always tell everybody, styles makes fights. But so Brino Royce, he got the win over Big Nasty in this match. Next, man, we had Chris Thunder Anderson versus Dalton Dallas. And Chris Thunder Anderson, like I've always said, one of the best in the region as far as the Carolinas, one of the best that I've seen, one of the toughest guys. And he went up against Dalton Dallas. Dalton Dallas, the big cat. Dalton Dallas, he brought out his cat, and he pretty much entertained the fans. And Chris Thunder Anderson was there. This right here, this match was a match for the tournament for the Uprise Heavyweight Championship. Chris Thunder Anderson was out there, and and he was all about business. He pretty much played into what Dalton Dallas was doing. Dalton Dallas, for a while there, Dalton Dallas was just entertaining the fans and pretty much pretty much kind of like negotiating with Thunder Anderson instead of like engaging. But Thunder Anderson, when he engaged, the fight was on, and Dalton Dallas, he can hold his own, man. He can hold his own, and he was battling back. And Dalton Dallas, wow, I'm sorry about that, but I was just checking something out for just a second there. But Dalton Dallas, he held his own in the match. In the match, Chris Thunder Anderson got the win. I don't have it marked down here, but I'm sure he got the win. Chris Thunder Anderson got the win in this match. It was 2 stars. I gave that match 2 stars. Next, man, we had Blake Gibson versus Josh Anderson. These 2 guys are from Tennessee. 2 guys that was brought up to Hendersonville, North Carolina. Well, maybe brought down from Tennessee. They was brought there from Tennessee. And Thunder Anderson talked about on the podcast that we had, and we was talking about the show. He talked about the excitement that these guys bring, and both of these guys was very exciting. I like both of them. They was young guys, and they went at it. I mean, I don't know how long these guys have known each other, how many times they wrestled, but I tell you what, they went at it. It was hard hitting, very fast paced, and I really like how at the beginning of the match, Josh Anderson, he went out to Blake Gibson, and with a nice knee shot over there in the corner, over in the left corner. And I mean, and every shot was sounding off. And Blake Gibson went back at him, man, and with a chop, turned him around, and a forearm chop straight across his chest, man, that just sounded off through the whole arena. Then tossed him over to the other turnbuckle across the ring, came at him with his own knee shot, man, that just boom, just sounded off. I think it might not have been a knee shot. It might have been like a clothesline type, body like clothesline type, and it really sounded off. It was loud, man, and just it got the crowd rocking. Had me, I basically was like, oh, just some of the things that was going on in this ring made me sound off like a boxing announcer, because that's how hard these guys was delivering their shots at each other. But overall, like, the match was very short. Like, every one of these matches did come out pretty short. I gave that 2 stars, but that match right there, I wish it could have lasted a little bit longer. But I gave it 2 stars. But it was a good match. So don't think that just because I gave it 2 stars, it wasn't a good match. Next, we had Riddleman versus Brad Mayhem. Brad Mayhem, this is the first time I've seen Brad Mayhem. Like I said before, this guy is, I've seen him, saw him on social media, saw some of his promo videos, well put together. You could tell that the guy spends his time in the gym. He doesn't work out at the table. He actually works out in the gym, and he takes care of his body. He comes out there, and he looked good, in this match, not just a pretty face or a pretty body or whatever. This guy was able to do it in the ring. He looked good. And Riddleman, a lot of people in the area have seen Riddleman. Riddleman is a good wrestler, and I like what Riddleman brings to the ring. And these 2 actually had a good match that was going on. I enjoyed the match. And then we had interference from Chris Thunder Anderson, which broke up the match. And Chris Thunder Anderson Chris Thunder Anderson, he had a plan to actually break this thing up so Chris Thunder Anderson can move up in the rankings for, move on to the tournament for the final match to win the title. So that's how this one went down, and it was a count out. It was a 10 count out to 10. Referee Chuck, he counted this out, and I thought this match should have been allowed to continue. Just put it that way. Definitely should have been allowed to continue. To me, it was the best match up to this point. It was really good, and I think, and that's just the way I think. And as far as my partner over there commentating, it was a spoiler. It was a spoiler. The match got spoiled. It was the best match on the card so far, but I understand what happened here, and I know what was going on. So it definitely was setting up. It looked like it was setting up a feud between Brad Mayhem in the future and Chris Thunder Anderson. So I mean, I could be wrong on that, but that's the way it looked like it was. Happening to me, but it was a double count out, man. And so I went ahead and gave it 2.5 stars. I think the match should have continued on. Should have been a better match. I mean, well, it would have been a better match. Just put it that way. Would have been a better match if it was allowed to continue on. But 2.5 stars for that match. Then we had the final match. This right here was the main event. We had Ice Cream Truck, who was back in the house. Ice Cream Truck they started out that as Ice Cream Truck in Hendersonville, North Carolina. So Ice Cream Truck, I don't know when that date was. I think it was somewhere in 2021, early in 2021, or maybe late in 2020. But Ice Cream Truck started over there started up there in Hendersonville, North Carolina as Ice Cream Truck. So you had Dump Truck and Squeaks. Everybody in the upstate know who Dump Truck and Squeaks is. If you follow wrestling, if you go to these wrestling shows, you know who this team is. And these guys was against the Oriental Connection versus Ice Cream Truck and Ice Cream Truck, Dump Truck, and Squeaks the Clown. So this Oriental Connection, they come out there, man, and they had a manager with them. I don't know this manager's name or whatever, but they come out, and these guys, for Oriental guys, they was kind of they had some decent size on them and everything, but not as big as Ice Cream Truck, the team of Squeaks and Dump Truck, because we know these guys are pretty big. But man, they go in there, and I tell you what, when the match started off, it was a lot of comical things that was happening, and what was funny was when they come out to the music, Oriental Connection come out to the music. They came out to kung fu fighting, and I know a lot of people probably has heard that, young or old, but especially when I was younger. I mean, it actually did come out in the 70s. I remember that, and I remember when that song came out, everybody running outside every time that song would come on the radio. Run outside, man, and people just started throwing kung fu moves and everything, which was totally funny. And then Ice Cream Truck came out, and they was pumping up the crowd with their music. They had the Ice Cream Truck music, and they had this beat behind it. And I think I've heard that song. I'm sure I've heard that song before. I don't think I was listening to any kind of music like that at that time, but I do remember hearing that song. And Ice Cream Truck, they come out, and they had the bass behind it, the hip hop bass behind the Ice Cream Truck tune, which was pretty cool. And they got the crowd involved, man. They got the crowd involved. The crowd really liked them, and they went on with this match. And at first, it was like a test of strength, and an Ice Cream Truck pretty much with their size and their bulk, they pretty much took the starting point, took the advantage, and was taking Oriental Connection apart. The Oriental Connection, man, they ended up coming back. Oriental Connection, fooling around, doing some few chops there, chops here and there to the chest, then chops upside the forehead, man, just literal chops. So, I mean, it was very interesting. It was a little chess match there, and then they started having a chess match between both of them. But then we had the manager come in, the manager for Oriental Connection come in, and he pretty much started unloading. He ended up unloading on Squeaks and Dump Truck, and he was in there helping. And Oriental Connection, man, they ended up getting the upper hand. But then Squeaks and Dump Truck started coming back, man. Dump Truck hit one of the big, I called them Oriental 1 and Oriental 2. Oriental 1 was the guy in the white and the green, had the green belt, so I figured he was a green belt. And then you had Oriental 2. He was in the black. But I like the Oriental Connections mask that they had. But man, they took back over Squeaks and Dump Truck. When Dump Truck hit that body slam, and Squeaks, man, he just started punching and beating down Oriental 2. And then they took advantage of the match, and they had that then they found the manager who was in the middle of the ring, and Dump Truck and Squeaks went back, and they both came and they collided, hit the manager with an ice cream sandwich. They hit him with an ice cream sandwich in the middle of the ring. Both of them smashed the guy, boom, knocked him out. He rolled out of the ring when he got himself a little conscious. And Oriental Express, while they was checking, they went over to check on their manager. They both was looking at each other, and they turned around. Before they could turn around, here come Ice Cream Truck with another smash, and it was a double smash ice cream sandwich. Knocked both of those guys out, and they got the pin, man. When it boils down to it, it was entertaining. I will say that match was entertaining, and it ended up coming up being the best match of the night. That was the main event, so I gave that 2.5 stars. So that was it right there. And, you know, a couple points I would like to make as far as this card. We had 77 people in attendance for the show. And like I said, this right here was a start. You got to start somewhere. We had 77 people in attendance, and you know, big ups to Big Nasty. Big Nasty. He was very entertaining. Come out there, did a little do-si-do with a couple people in the crowd. Played around with the kids and all that, and I think they kind of like it the way he was working his belly and doing the things. So I think he was a very good character over there and something new. He's never had been at Uprise. He was something new, something different. Then we had Ice Cream Truck Man, who was very entertaining. They came out. I thought they was very entertaining, you know, with the music. And Dump Truck come out, and Dump Truck, like I said, Dump Truck is good on the mic. Started yelling and all that. He pretty much pumped up the crowd. And I like the AJ Frost when he came out against Marcus Mook, because Marcus Mook is known there, and Marcus Mook got a buzz. He got a buzz when he came out, and that's not shocking because, like I said, he's been there before. But you did have your crowd that's never been over there at Uprise, and you know they had never seen Marcus Mook. And AJ Frost came out like AJ Frost always do. He's good at playing a crowd, playing the crowd and playing them and getting them in his hands and getting a little feedback from the crowd that, hey, we don't like you. So big ups to him and everybody that was at this show, man, that tried to make it work, that did everything they could to lift this thing up and get it over. But like, you know, what I will say, it's another start at Uprise Pro Wrestling. And the next card will be July the 30th. July the 30th, it was going to be a regular card, but this card has turned out to be the card for Jeanette Burton. It's going to be Jeanette Burton's benefit show. It's going to be the benefit show for my partner, Jeanette Burton's wife, who's been going through a very hard time, who had a heart attack a couple months back. She ended up in the hospital. And then after she come out of the hospital, a couple weeks later, then Chris' mother died. She passed away. So, and Jeanette, she had another episode, went back with fluid on the lungs. You know, her body wasn't absorbing after she just had this surgery. Her body is not absorbing the fluids, and she got fluids on the lung. You know, got fluid on the lungs, and she went in and they took like a half a gallon of fluid out of her lungs, and I think it was a gallon and a half in there, but they had to pull like a half a gallon out, and she ended up having pneumonia. So she ended back up in the hospital. So she's been back in there like a week and a half. Maybe it's a little bit longer, but she's been back in there for a while, and she's probably going to get to come home tomorrow. But let's hope and pray that she's back at home tomorrow. But Chris has been going up back and forth, and you know, I've been trying to, been talking to him back and forth. Haven't really been able to go up there. Been having a lot going on in my life too. But definitely, if she's not out tomorrow, I'm definitely going up to visit. But this show, July the 30th, we will be having a show. And I know we were supposed to have the show. I think it was the show actually. No, wait, it's not. Yeah, July the 30th. It's going to be her show. That's next month. But I think we were supposed to have a show this Saturday. It was going to be her original show. So if anybody that we had contacted, and we never had really got anything set because our original date was canceled. But so a lot of people did not get to be on this show. And I did talk to a couple wrestlers who was asking me, was this date still open, and was we going to have the show this Saturday, but we're not having a show this Saturday. So we will be having a show Saturday on the 30th. I don't know what wrestlers we're going to have right now, because right now we're sorting through some things because a lot of people was booked for that 30th show. So we're going to see who we can work in from that show. And then we got some people, man, that used to wrestle for Uprise Pro Wrestling that are coming back. So, stay tuned. If we don't be getting who we want to, if we don't get the people, if they're not going to wrestle, the people that wrestle on this show going to wrestle on the next show, Chris and I, we will be looking for wrestlers to come in and provide their talent, lend their talent to this show. But man, I mean, I look forward to a great show, the next show that we have up there in Hendersonville, North Carolina. But until then, appreciate you checking us out. And if you're on Facebook, hit that like, share, join. You're on YouTube, hit that like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Do the same thing on Twitch. like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And on Twitter, hit that like, share, retweet. Definitely do that. And appreciate you checking this out. And for Uprise Pro Wrestling, for Straight Up Wrestling Show, I'm Harry Bernard Taylor. Peace.